Okay, no mai harimai. So welcome to AMA Online for Term 2, 2026. So our session for today is about maths art, which we will be very privileged to have Michelle Rigby to talk to us about how this translates to our classroom practice. So Michelle is going to be introducing herself more. So here we go.
Kia ora koutou, ko Michelle Rigby tōku ingoa he uri ahau no Ngāti Kahungunu me Kaitahu. I tipu ake au ki o tau tahi, he tumuaki tuarawa ahau ki te kura torotoroa. Kia ora koutou, my name's Michelle Rigby and I'm the Deputy Principal at Amberley School, and hopefully I'll be able to take you through creativity and maths this morning. So I'm just going to go through some of my slides. We've had a bit of technical difficulties, like we said before, and I might be switching between screens. So one thing I would love to know is if you can type into the chat what school you're at and what year level you teach or what year levels you teach, because that might aid in some of the things that I might talk about. So I'm going to keep moving through, and I'm hoping when I click on my next slide, you'll all see that. So just a bit of a background about me. I've got lots of experience in mathematics and creative curriculum, I guess. And I spent a long time over in the UK and have been back in New Zealand now for coming up to 5 years. So it's been amazing being back in Aotearoa. And I've managed to, over the last few years, use the mathematics skills and knowledge that I have to share back here in Aotearoa, doing lots and lots of different things. So I'm going to keep moving because I'm very conscious that we've only got about 40 minutes. So in today's workshop, I'm going to be looking at artists that use maths or have maths concepts in their artworks. We're going to investigate a little bit about maths and art, and I'm going to, well, the whole time I'll be sharing things that tamariki have done over the years that I've been doing and working with maths and art and integrating it together. So the first thing we're doing is looking at some artists. So I've given you a selection of pictures here on the screen, and what I'd love for you to do is take a minute to type in the chat if you know or recognize any of the artists who've created these masterpieces. So if you can in the chat, and Julius, I might get you to check that because I can't actually see all of them with my screen. And I'll see if anybody has, I might be able to do it. Oh, kia ora koutou. And if you're going, I don't know any of these, Kate, I'm going to give you all the answers. So it's all good. Yep, there's a couple that have been spotted.
Yeah, so Sophie mentioned Escher and Hunter Wasser.
Hunter Visor, aye.
And Escher.
Escher,
I'm assuming also that Escher is the one for the tessellations. So
aye. So I'll give you the answers to those ones. We've got Kandinsky, Mirror, Paul Klee, Mondrian, Hunter
yeah,
Weiser, and Escher. So these are some artists that I've used extensively actually in doing mass art and integrating art into mass or mass into art. I'm going to give you another group of artists that I've also used. And again, in the chat, if you can write down any of the artists that you recognize. And then I'll give you the answers after that. So just like 30 seconds. Here's another group of artists that use mathematical concepts in their art. And Julius, if you can let me know if anyone's noted an artist that they can see.
yep. I saw someone say Warhol.
Yep, Andy Warhol. Any more?
I think this set is more tough than the first one.
The first one, what, sorry, was that?
Like I think this set is more tough to identify than the first
Oh,
one.
yes. This one is more tough, and it's artists I've used a lot, so I'll give you the names of
Yeah,
them.
we have Jasper Johns in Klimt. Yeah,
Oh,
there.
very close. Yes,
Yeah,
Klimt is another artist that I have used for mass, but I haven't put him in this one. So we've got August Turbin, Bridget Riley, Andy Goldsworthy, Andy Warhol, and Jasper Johns. So they're just some of the artists that I've used over. I say I've been doing mass art explicitly for, oh my gosh, over 10 years, 10 to 15 years, I would say. So what we're going to do now is look at some of those artists and sort of draw out the mass art that's within it. And once again, I'm going to get you to use the chat. So we're going to look at this piece of art, and all I want you to do in the chat is just to jot down any mass that you can see in there. So what mass can you notice? What mass can you see? What concepts can you see in this particular piece of artwork? Just jot it down into the chat, and hopefully, Julius, you'll be able to fill me in on what everybody's putting.
yeah, surely.
This is something that I do all the time with whatever art I'm doing or using. I get the children to look and see what they notice, see what they can see in there, what mathematical concepts I can draw out from that piece of artwork, to either start a lesson or to prompt discussion. So, have you got any
Yeah,
concepts?
probably I could start with what I'm seeing right now. Like I can see like parallel lines being cut by a transversal. So I see those formations in there, like one, two, at least three of them. And then somebody also mentioned angles, trig, graphs, patterns, ratio.
Brilliant. Oh, that's brilliant. And I think depending on what background you come from as a teacher, if you're up in secondary school or university, you'll have a lot of different vocabulary than what I would use in early years or primary school. So I'm going to put some words that you may have either seen or just have put in the chat. These are some of the things that children may have seen. So our general shapes that they may have seen, the circles, rectangles, squares, etc. They could have got into more complex shapes like your irregular and regular shapes, polygons and quadrilaterals. You could have looked at your lines like you did, Julius, your vertical, horizontal, parallel, perpendicular, etc. And also looking at different types of angles that you can use. So for me, I've used this particular painting for work on angles for the children to either find different types of angles, measure the angles, doing lots and lots of mathematical work using this particular piece of artwork. This artist is Kandinsky, and I think he has all these different names for his artwork, but that particular artwork was called Composition 8. But he's most famous for his concentric circles in the squares, and you'll see that piece of artwork that's in the top right corner, depending on what your screen looks like. You'll see that a lot. And I've got some examples of work that actually all the work that I've got on this presentation is work from either a class that I've worked with myself, schools that I've worked with and done mass art PD, and then they've implemented this across their school. So this was some concentric circle work that was done with a school up in Cambridge a couple of years ago. They utilised it like that. World Mass Art Day I did in the UK for one of my schools, and the children did collage with that, pulling out those particular mass concepts. And actually, just last year, I did this art. I have done a little bit of AI, so that I don't have children in the photos that I've used on today's presentation. just to keep their identities safe, I guess. So this piece of Kandinsky art was a collective, collaborative, big piece of artwork that we did. Kandinsky's art can really go to lots of different places. This one I AI'd as well, but this was using loose parts, and the children making a massive piece of artwork, I guess, using lots of different shapes that we had there. And these were children using pattern blocks to create Kandinsky inspired pieces of artwork as well. Is everyone still there, Julius?
Yes, definitely.
Oh yeah, it's very hard. I feel like I'm just talking to myself. So, if anyone's got questions, just pop them in the chat, and maybe Julius, you can let me know.
Yep.
But what we're going to do now is look at this particular piece of artwork, and same again in the chat. Just write down what mass you can see in this particular piece of artwork. So I'll give you 30 seconds just to have a look, and just jot down in the chat what you see, what mass you see. And again, Julius, if you can just let me know.
Yep. I'm on the watch.
Thank you. I'll give you another 20 seconds.
Yeah, Pip wrote here trapeziums, triangles, circles, rectangles, squares, patterns, sequence, symmetry, basic shapes, geometry, transformations, areas, triangles, circles, patterns, four-fifths color theory. Oh, that's the first
Wow.
time I heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Lots of things that I've put on my screen, the next screen that you'll see, and lots of new ones that I don't have on here. So all of those basic shapes again may have gone into specific types of triangles within that picture, measurement, area, and perimeter. So I heard some other things from what you said, Julius, as well. So that's fantastic. And hopefully you're starting to see the depth of mass that you can get from just using a piece of artwork to as your stimulus to go into different areas of mathematics. I love this painting. I've used it numerous times from the artist Paul Klee, and it's called Castle in the Sun. It used to work, and I always used to use this for the younger children. So here's some work that a lot of younger children have used, doing a similar collage with all those different shapes. And I went to a school, it was St. Peter's in Cambridge, and their year sevens and eights took this artist and used the concept in a completely different way. And I absolutely loved it. So this piece here is one of my all-time favorite pieces of artwork that's been created. It was actually created by two girls, but I love their concept of that castle in the sun, and they use that transformation and symmetry with the waterline. Yeah, phenomenal. So I just love where the inspiration takes children's imagination with the math and the art.
That's very
Um,
beautiful.
yeah, it's pretty cool. It's one of my all-time favorites. So I try and capture the photos of things all the time, but it's like, wow, that was really inspired. And because I hadn't seen like a year 7, 8 class do pick Paul Klee to study, you just get a whole different level of art and mathematics. So it was really cool.
Yeah, like Jane was asking, like, how old were the kids who did this particular painting?
Yeah, this class they were year 7 and 8s.
Oh,
Yeah, so that was phenomenal. I'll try and remember to say what age group the children were in. So with this particular painting, I want you to just think, what do you notice? And again, if you can write in the chat what you notice or what you can see. And I give you 30 seconds again. And Julius, if you can just let me know if anything's gone in the chat.
yep, will do. It looks like a number 8 to me. Like I was looking at the painting and I can see like an image of number 8 in it. So
The more you look at it, the more you'll see. But I'm going to add a little thing up on here, and it
yeah, they
might
mentioned that all numbers fit into the painting. So particularly they saw 3, 6, 8, and 9. The infinity symbol, 8, curves, and then numbers, letters, perimeter, circumference. Those are the things that they mentioned in the chat.
brilliant. So I'm going to put this little image up here. Um, and you'll see more clearly how it started. So this is actually a picture, and it's called 0 through 9 or 0 to 9, and it's literally just a painting that uses the numbers 0 to 9 by the artist Jasper Johns. I love using this picture because it creates a bit of mystery, and children have to really look to see what they can see within it. But when you go to take it through the mass, so this is Jasper Johns, he's an American artist, and he uses numbers, he uses symbols a lot in his painting. So numbers is one thing that he uses a lot. And he also uses the alphabet and a whole lot of other things. But I love this particular thing. So this is a year 6 class at one of my schools in the UK. And they used it specifically to work on the concept that they had in class, which was all on, well, BIDMAS, BODMAS, BEDMAS, GEMA, whatever term you use to do the order of operations. They used it specifically to inspire that particular concept in maths. And what I found is over the years, you got more knowledgeable about how to use particular things. So here the kids were using it to showcase their BIDMAS, BODMAS, whichever term you use, with their particular drawing. And the one on the right, he's put some questions in there for people to answer. So we're going to do a little bit of that. So with this particular painting, what numbers did I use to make 10? So just pop in the chat what numbers I've used to make 10. And then Julius, you can let me know when people have discovered what they are.
Yep. Yeah, I also have my answer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they said 1, 2, and 7.
Oh, perfect. 1, 2, and 7, easy. Nice and simple. I could take that to a different place. So we're going to do that next. This would be really easy to do for younger children. But I want us to try this one. So this is looking at these 4 particular numbers. And my number is 18, but what was my calculation or what was my equation? And thinking about the order of operations, you have to use all 4 to see if you can get the number 18 that I've got. So I'll give you 30 seconds, see if anyone can come up with an answer. There's probably more than one.
Yeah, there's one answer here already. Oh, they're the same.
Oh, what is it?
It's 2 times 3, and then you add 5 and 7 together. So it's 2 times 3 plus 7 plus 5.
Brilliant. This is my one. So there's multiple ways you can.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So depending on using that level of order of operations, you can take this particular art into that avenue, which can go further up into secondary school. So I love doing those ones. I'm going to keep moving. Were there any other answers that came in?
In here it says 7. Oh, it's similar to yours. It's 7 times 3 minus 5 plus 2.
Oh, perfect. Just in a different order. Well done, everyone. I'll move to the next slide. This was what it came from. So I just broke it up so you guys could have a bit of a practice, make this session a bit more interactive. What I'm going to do for these next few slides is just because I'm conscious of time, is look at the artist and look at examples of work that children have done around that particular artist. and I'll try and move at pace because I'm already looking at the time going, oh, it goes very fast. So this is Esha, and he does a lot of that tessellation mahi. And some of this can be done, some of it can be quite complicated. Oh, did I go? This was done with what year did I have that year? Year 6 class, actually. And we already had things cut out in different shapes so they could piece them together to make their tessellations. And then some of them tried it with their own equipment. Or their own drawings. And then in this one here on the left, this was done. So the Māori kupu for tessellation is rōpene. So at my kura not last year, but the year before, one of the year she was teaching year 7 and 8, they did tessellation, which she said they found quite challenging to do. And they kept quite simple shapes that they'd done. But if you look in the top right corner with the two little boys at the front, they didn't create those paintings or those drawings next to it, those tessellations. But the children who did, they were in year 6 and they have their actual shape that they tessellated. You can just see the little white shape where they've used that shape to tessellate. And they had to create that shape out of one piece of paper. So there's lots of tutorials and things like that to learn how to make tessellations. But using the artist Esha is a fantastic way to inspire the children and to develop that integrated lesson. Mondrian's another amazing artist where you can do a lot of art from. So once again, I've AI'd all the children pretty much throughout the whole presentation just to keep their identities safe. So those children were just filling in the different parts and measuring the perimeters of the different shapes. You can take Mondrian into lots of different things with proportion and ratio and fractions of shapes, area, perimeter. It's quite a cool, what would I call it? Yeah, cool way of going into, so especially perimeter and area. These were activities that were put out at one of the exhibitions for children to explore even further as they were looking at the artwork. And this was at a school where St. Peter's Catholic school, so they used the concept of having the cross in the middle using the Mondrian colours, and then they had a background with secondary colours. So they used the primary colours that are in Mondrian's art for the cross that they put in the centre, and then their background base was using the secondary colours that are made from those primary colours. Yeah. So that was kind of cool that I hadn't seen that being done before. So it's great when teachers have the PD. So with all of these things I've done, Mass Art PD, and then teachers have gone away and taken it to the next level, which is like fascinating and amazing. But I think most teachers that are out there are very creative and think and put things into their own context, which is fantastic. Andy Warhol. So a lot of his work is used for using arrays. I loved this was another teacher in my school, and she took this artist to explore in her class. And the children were at the same time doing digital text. So they did arrays of their own selves and changed all the colors. They got the cans in and they decorated the cans, and then they made lots of different arrays physically with the cans. That was a year 3-4 class. Which I love. So it was great going into their classroom and seeing all the children getting the cans and making all these different arrays and writing down the calculations. So a really good way of introducing those to their to follow that concept in mathematics. Julius, do we have any questions or anyone popping anything in the notes?
Nothing at the moment.
Oh, that's okay. I'm just talking, but I can't see any of the I can't see anybody but my screen. So moving on to Jean Miro. I've used this artist lots, and it's very interesting and suits the younger age group a lot. And I sort of encourage lots of loose part play when they're doing Jean Middle. So here's some art, and it's always good to have like a frame to put your artwork onto. So the kids were exploring the different shapes, the different materials, the concepts within the artwork. You can see here again. And then because loose parts, you keep moving them and they can make loads and loads of different creations. So it was just this particular class had their kaupapa for the term was on Moana in the ocean. So they made a lot of their artwork with that theme, which was kind of awesome. And they also did a whole collaborative piece of artwork using a big just sheet of, I would call it like a sheet of material that was blue, and then used the different shapes and things to create their underwater scene. And they ended up with this piece, which was amazing, but they wanted to use every single piece of loose part equipment they have. So you can see a whole heap of those transparent counters at one end because they went, we've got to get everything on here. So it was very, very cute. They were very proud of their masterpiece. And then the next day, they just created a different piece using inspiration from Meadle's pieces of artwork that they had up in the classroom. Checking on time. Yep, we're okay. Hunter Wise, and some people recognised him when we looked at the artwork at the beginning of the session. And he was actually living here in New Zealand for a time and is buried here. So you may have seen some of these things if you've been lucky enough to get up to Whangarei or Kawakawa to see his sculptures and building structures up north. I haven't got there yet, but I hope to at some point because I love using his artwork to inspire our young ones. So these are some creations that these were a year 2 class and a year, well, it was a reception class or a year 0 class using concepts from his paintings, those concentric circles again. And here they use repeated patterns and different heights of the lollipop sort of flowers and things. So that was kind of cool. And oh yeah, I added this one. I love this. This is one of my favorite pictures too, but I had to AI the little girl that was sitting in it. And when we were doing it, we were looking at the concept of tall, taller, tallest, big, bigger, bigger, short, shorter, shorter, small, smaller, smallest, and using the circles to get that concept and the heights of the different flowers for that as well. So a great activity for your year 0, 1s, 2s to do. What time are we at? Okay. So I'm going to move on to sharing and how we can share, because for me, showcasing the mass art is just as important as doing the art. I love showcasing the children's mahi. And all the way through the presentation I've done so far, there's been examples of work that were on display in particular exhibitions or expos or classroom displays, mainly whole school displays. So I'm going to just show you some examples of how you can showcase mass art. Because I always think if you showcase the artwork, then more will get done. And I think maths is a extremely creative subject. So I try to promote it as much as I can. So when I was in my last school in the UK, I was there for 9 years, and every year, but apart from the last year before I left because it was COVID, we did a mass art exhibition in the hall. And I think this was, I've had to AI this too, so that you can't see people. But our very first exhibition started quite small. And then each year after that, it got more and more creative. We were able to look at way more different concepts and different artists, famous artists, and teachers got really comfortable at doing this maths through art or art through maths. Since moving back to New Zealand, I've hoped to do the same thing. So I one year I used an art expo that all the schools in our local area contribute to, and all get one of those big stands. So I used my mass art to showcase at that expo. And one of the little girls went to see her work there, which was amazing, and sent a photo to me. So I've just done the same thing again with her. But again, using that concept for this art was all about that language of tall, taller, tallest. So loved incorporating that mass and having this at an expo, which was also had a lot of adult artwork at the same expo, which was fantastic for the kids to go around and have a look at that as well. Then I think the key concept for exhibiting the artwork that's been done is for the tamariki to go and see their work. And it's quite interesting watching them when they go around, because they really focus in on all the different artwork, not just their own. So it's like having their own art gallery within their own school. So this was the first one I did back here in New Zealand. And you can see those tamariki really looking at the artwork that they're looking at. These two boys are in an older year group, but still admiring work that's been done by some of the younger children. This was always, I always tend to have it where the children go around and look at their own art in the gallery or their gallery, and then invite parents in. So this was after school when the parents came in, and during the day, all the children from all the classes came around and looked at their art pieces. Another little trick over the years, because I've done these sorts of things for such a long time, was having those loose play things. Depending on how you set it up, in this particular space, it was a church hall. So we just used the centerpiece to set up a bit of creative time. And then there were all these older kids doing creating some pieces of artwork while people were looking around the room. And this little girl made a real masterpiece, I thought. I loved what she'd done. And you can see she's got her repeated patterns on both sides of the frame with her little picture in the middle using those different shapes. Okay. And then I was lucky to be in a cross-school leader for the last 2 years before the kahui was disbanded, I guess, across the country. And that was my first opportunity to take mass art to a broader audience, I guess. So as an across school leader, we had different networks. So I had the Pāngaro network, the Mass network, and one of our goals for our kahui was to have a collaborative mass art exhibition, which we held at the local library in Kaipoi. And we had artwork that was given to display in that library in time for New Zealand Mass Week. So some of the schools, well, 8 of our 9 schools contributed their artwork, and these are just how they looked on display. So I'm just going to go and show you some of the pictures that were on display. And this was our first year. So what I find after the first year, you kind of think what you'd do better the second year. So Kaipoi High School, I loved what they did. They had all of their year 9 classes do mass art in a couple of their sessions. So sometimes it's quite hard to get the high school to be completely involved, but they gave them all the PD that I gave to the teachers. they showed them all the slides and allowed them to be creative with what they wanted to take on board. So we got a real variety of artwork from them, which was fascinating. And I loved, oh, they just had so many amazing pieces, but we could only like put up so many. There's heaps in there. Then the second time last year, we added a few more things in. So at our network hui, I introduced some different artists and sort of encouraged people to look at digital and maybe some 3D artwork as well. So we had a bit more variety. We had different artists being looked at, and here's some of the work that was created through that one. Here was some of that digital art and 3D art that came through. Just lots of variety. We had lots of great feedback from the library about all the different artwork that we did. And this is a piece that I did with two different classes, because while I was doing a cross school leader last year, I did CRT release for a couple of days. And for both of those exhibitions that we did as a kahui, we had an open evening where the tamariki came in. We invited 5 tamariki from each school to come in with their parents to view their artwork, and made it like a launch party. It was kind of like a launch party, I guess, before it was opened for all the schools to go and look at the following weeks. We had last year, we had the Mayor of Waimakariri come as well. And I'm hoping this year, it's in the books, I've booked it into the library, that even though I'm not in the Waimakariri area, that the schools are going to continue with the mass art exhibition this year. And I'm hoping to get a little space so I can put some work from my school in there too. What was really cool was we had a lot of our schools that lived locally, like quite close to the library. They would take their tamariki to look at all the artwork that had been done across the kahui. This was my little class that I took with me to look at our piece of artwork that we made. They each individually made one of the Mondrian pieces of artwork, and then we pieced it together as one big, massive collaborative piece, which was awesome. And one thing I forgot every year I've done art exhibitions was getting feedback. So one of those things I did last year was to use that amazing tree that you can see in the middle, which was in the library, and we got leaves to have people who came into the library or who attended the open evening to write some feedback about the exhibition, which was amazing. And I think I'm nearly there. I've tried to keep to time. I've talked really fast, so I hope everyone kept up with me. If you wouldn't mind writing in the chat just one takeaway that you would or you will do from today's session, that would be amazing. And I think, Julius, that's me.
Thank you very much, Michelle. So I will quote Pip on this one. So the reason why we're not really saying much is because we're so fascinated by everything we're seeing at the moment. Like, it's so wow. So like, if I will begin giving my own takeaway from this one, it really brought me back to that time where I was doing tessellations by Escher as well, way back in the United States. And it was interesting because when I introduced that to the kids, like the kids were saying, Mister, this is so difficult. And I was like, but wait, like every hard work pays off in time. And then when they start seeing their own artwork from that particular activity, it really, boosted their confidence, their sense of appreciation with art. And then they say that now maths makes sense. So it's really interesting. And you didn't only showcase Escher, you also mentioned heaps of artists that really included maths in that space. And for me, I really value what I saw from today's session, even though I'm teaching high school students, because most of your examples are from primary to intermediate, probably. But I'm seeing the beauty of how this will be used as well, even in the secondary space. So we're really thankful for having this session with us and sharing your experience and expertise in this field. So do you want
Thank
me to read some of the feedback as well, or a takeaway from the other participants? I think Pip can say hers. So
Oh, so yeah, so I work as one of the Mass Week writers, and we quite often have art as one of our themes for Survivor Series. And I know that in the past we've used Mondrian and we do Escher as well, but there's some beautiful new artists there that I didn't know about. So quite looking forward to next time we do that as one of our themes for Survivor Series to pick some of these ideas up. Thank you.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. And I have, Julius, used the high school. They did a lot of the artists across year 9. And then last year they had the art department do the mass art.
oh,
Um,
that's interesting.
yeah, so once they kind of saw different ideas, they yeah, the kids took it to different spaces. And I've only literally just given a really small amount of artists that I've used. So that I just kind of picked the ones that I've used the most, but have used loads and loads of different famous artists. I mean, I didn't even bring in some New Zealand art because I'd done a whole thing on multicultural art and art concepts. Like, yeah, it's just I think maths is an amazing creative subject, and we underutilize the creativity of the subject.